So if you hit level 70 and you want to know exactly how to do the catacombs, what are the mechanics and what does everything mean? In this video, I'll break down how to not enter the catacombs and end up becoming a part of it. I'll explain the rewards and the theory behind it, and what exactly you get from spending all your time down in the depths of that dungeon. First, open up your map in Nighthaven and come over here, as the vendor will be sitting right here, the Catacomb shop. I highly recommend talking to this man right here and setting your inn, as you can just teleport back at any time you want, about 20-minute cooldown, and the Catacomb Explorer will be sitting here with a bunch of juicy rewards. You'll have these caches and the gold caches. These are 2 and some skins below. I'll break down exactly what each of these are. These Frost Essence and Dark Crystals you want to avoid buying, as these are generally going to be picked up through other means, and unless you see a hard spike on the market, I would stay clear of these, as these are just used to make charms. Then you'll have gear. Catacombs heavy melee weapon, two-handed weapons, and ranged weapons, magical weapons, and all that good stuff, gloves and chests. So let me break down exactly how to use this. When you read it, it'll say light, medium, or heavy. How do I know which one I'm going to get? Well, that depends all on what you're wearing and using. So if I have a hatchet and a fire staff out, if I open the weapons skill tree that says one-handed weapons, I'm more likely to get a hatchet, this one right here. For magical, I'd be more likely to get my fire staff. And for my armor, if I'm wearing a light helmet and a medium chest plate, if I come down here and buy the chest, I'm more likely to grab a medium chest plate. And if I want a light helmet, well, I better be wearing a light helmet, so when I unlock that bad boy, we'll be hitting 777s, because you don't want to have gear that's going to be completely useless. So make sure, depending on the build you're going for, you're always wearing the correct gear type, as any box that you open in New World, except for OPR and Arena caches, will have loot bias in them. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, how good is the gear you get in the Catacombs? Well, the purple gear is not the best, as this just drops regular old legendary gear. I'll show you a few right here in my storage, as this is exactly what you can look to acquire. Just some random rings with a few charm slots. It could be really good, it could be really bad. We'll have to let Google decide, as we cannot think on our own. We'll have to throw this in the dumpster fire as fast as possible if those perks aren't hitting hard. But what about the legendaries? This is why you come here. You come here for these legendary crates, as these have armor sets in them. You'll have the Overcharge set and the Elemental Charge set. I'll break them down and simplify them real quick. The Elemental Charge set is more for mages that want to use an offhand that's a physical weapon. For the Overcharge set, this one is going to be a DPS must, as you'll be stacking damage higher than the Eiffel Tower as long as you're not getting hit. These take 10 juicy charms to acquire, so they're relatively hard and expensive. Now that we've gotten the storage out of the way, how do we queue in to these beautiful dungeons? Open up your map, and you can either head down to the Catacombs, hit regular, and hit play. You'll queue into a random of 3 players. You can choose your role, damage, tank, or healer, but the roles are completely random, meaning you can end up with 3 DPSs, 3 tanks, and the 3 Rot Priest combo. It's going to be all luck, but generally, you're going to be ending up with at least 2 DPS, maybe 3, meaning those runs are going to be an absolute nightmare. So I recommend running a tankier setup like myself. These are my quick stats. I'll make a full guide later, but I'm running 250 strength, 222 dex with 50 con. I then chose to run my full heavy armor gear, so all for Dawn with Void Darkplate. I found this to be extremely effective, and we were easily able to kill 3 bosses on every run, me being even capable of soloing the bosses myself for the first one. I also had Blood Drinker, which was a massive help. So now that we understand what we can get, let me break down the mechanics of the Catacombs. When you spawn in, you'll be locked into a room. This room will have a couple of golden tinctures to your left. This you'll have to drink in order to stop that bar at the bottom of your screen from filling all the way up to 100 and killing you. When that bar hits 100, it won't insta-kill you, it'll just make all attacks basically do double damage. And that is terrifying if you're in light or even in heavy, because those mobs hit like nuclear missiles, man. I am still recovering from the trauma after doing that dungeon. It is a rough run. Now you'll also get a power spike at every 100 soul shards. You can go to these little shrines here. They look like angels, just as beautiful as you. At 100, you'll get a 10% damage increase and a 10% HP increase. This will drastically make the dungeon easier, so every time you have these, I highly recommend spending them right off the bat. Now you can open up your map and look for icons such as a boss, a hidden lever, or a trap room. This will give you a general idea of what's ahead. You'll have to kill bosses to get the most sought after, the golden items, if you want to get the best loot. Remember though, if you die, you do lose everything, so greed could be your downfall. I want to mention here that you only have about 5 lives and you won't be able to respawn again. On top of that, if you fail to extract for that 30-minute timer, well, all your loot is also disappearing into the Shadow Realm. I highly recommend staying at 3 bosses or less, especially if you're a new player, until you can get better at the game and better loot. Then you can start pushing to 4, 5, and 6. At 3 boss kills, you'll net 5 golden tokens with 1,300 silver scraps on the side. You can then send those back in to once again open up your faction vendor here, spend them on the crates of your choosing, and run again if you want these set bonuses. Every time you open up these crates, by the way, it's going to be completely RNG in terms of what you get. The only guarantee is that set bonus on the gold ones and the gear type on the purple ones. Everything else is completely random. While you're also exploring the catacombs, you will find these 6 statues in the journey. You can use these as power-ups. Make sure you read them carefully, and I would recommend taking your time throughout your journey to understand which one is best for your class. But there's a few relatively strong ones that I would highly recommend looking to pick up. If you're a tankling, get the block one, as this allows your counterattack to do about double damage. Another fantastic one, if you're not a DPS, grab the ones that allow you to heal your allies, as when you hit the boss, well, you'll spawn on either orbs or your allies will heal for 50% of the damage you deal, allowing you to be kind of a paladin during the dungeon. I don't think healers are going to be super prevalent come into the catacombs, but we'll have to wait and see. So what exactly can we do in order to maximize our survivability when entering the catacombs? Well, I'd recommend buying 3 houses. You'll have to purchase these in 3 different cities for about 5k a pop. And the main reason is due to the trophy buffs. You want these in all your houses. These will give you 3% all the way up to 5% if you got the gold ones in terms of damage to that certain enemy type. This will allow you to drastically deal way more damage in the catacombs, because 4 times 3, well, that's 12% flat damage increase when you're entering into the pit. You'll want to put all of these into your house as so, because in the catacombs there is every type of enemy in the entire game. Something else that will help you while you're down there in the sewers is grabbing some beautiful coatings. These will give you 15% damage to that certain enemy type, and ward potions will give you 10% resistance to that certain enemy type as well. Meaning if they did 1k, now they're only doing 900 damage. That's a massive upgrade in terms of survivability. I'd recommend only proccing these before the boss fights, as that's really when you only need it. You can skip the first boss 100% and avoid not using any coatings or wards, and then I would recommend start using them on the second so you can save on a bit of cash. I know you're not rich, so we're trying to make this as cheap and efficient as possible. I also then recommend bringing your honing stone for a 5% damage buff. The stat food of your choice, you can go 48 or the 40 food version, whatever suits your fancy. This will just give you more damage overall, and you desperately need this. Another thing you should desperately have is Sunrise. This reduces dot durations on you by 25%, and let me tell you, brothers, there's a lot of dots in the catacombs. If you're a mage, energizing hearty meal could save your life, as that 3% mana regen is absolutely clutch. What about gems? For what I experienced, the best gems to run are going to be pure onyxes, as there's a lot of physical damage primarily in there, so onyxes felt the best. You can run a few opals on your jewelry as a bit of a safety net to some elemental wizardry that's going to be happening down in the depths. I'd recommend 5 onyxes, 4 opals, as like I mentioned earlier, the most damage does come from physical down there. That's going to be all for today's video. I just want to give a quick overview guide to the catacombs. I'll be going over a more in-depth guide come later, but right now I just want to make sure you have a general basis of what to expect when entering the catacombs and you're not hitting your head against the wall. I'll be showing my tank build, the one I chose to run that build with and basically solo an entire boss by myself. So if you're interested in that, make sure to like and subscribe. And huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. You can support the channel further if you wish to.